Hello, my dear students, and welcome back once again in class 7 SST. So, students, today we are going to start our chapter number 4 of part history. So, let me tell you first, beta, today we are going to discuss about the Mughal Empire. As you know well, that in the last lesson also and in the last classes, we have studied about what the Delhi Sultans and the Lodi dynasty, how they ruled over, right? But remember one thing, only the Mughal Empire was there who just ruled over the subcontinent. Yes, there was Maurya Empire was also there who ruled over the subcontinent, but this the Mughal Empire ruled over the subcontinent in a very early age. Fine. And today in this we are going to discuss about the middle age, not the later Mughal, not the earliest Mughal. In this we are going to discuss about the middle ages of the Mughals. Fine. Because see पहले क्या होता था, in the earliest time क्या होता था कि there were just kings, kingdoms, right? Because nowadays we have presidents, prime ministers, leaders, right, to rule over the country. But in the earliest time there were just kings. ऐसा होता था कि रात को एक राजा सोता था एंड क्या होता था कि जो दूसरा राजा था वो क्या अटैक करते थे उनके किंगडम पे, और मॉर्निंग में जो सारा एम्पायर था वो दूसरे राजा का हुआ होता था, right? These were the things which happened in the earliest time. So in this chapter basically we are going to discuss about the Mughal Empire. Yes, here it is written, you can see that ruling as a large a territory as the Indian subcontinent. You know well the how large it is, the Indian subcontinent. It was not easy task to rule over the Indian subcontinent, and that too in a very early age. They started doing their rule just 12 or 13 years in their age. Fine. So today we are going to discuss about this. It was not impossible to rule over the subcontinent, yes, but it was tough, right? So how they did each and everything, so in this we are going to discuss that in the 16th century they expanded their kingdom from Agra and Delhi until in the 17th century they controlled nearly all the subcontinent. कि 16th century से लेके 17th century तक इन्होंने कैसे सारा रूल कर लिया था on the subcontinent, that is on Indian subcontinent. Okay, so let's discuss further chapter with the animation. So let's start our chapter with the smart content. So beta, before going into the chapter, just see with the smart content each and everything I'll be showing you that who were Mughals first. First of all, we should know that who were Mughals. As you all are aware, I know well, right? You might have heard about the Akbar, Babur, है ना? Okay, before going into the chapter, let me tell you a very interesting thing कि you should remember all these names with a very fine example, that is Bhajasa. What is the example? Bhajasa. Let's start with it's BHAJSA. How I'm going to relate this further with our chapter. Means B for Babur, H for Humayun, then A for Akbar, and J for Jahangir, S for Shah Jahan, and then A for Aurangzeb. That is why just keep it in your mind, Bhajasa. You will never forget the names in the like symmetry. Okay, so okay, let's see first who were the Mughals. I'm going to start. Just see carefully, look carefully. You will going to understand it very with this video.
The Mughals. The Mughals were descendants of two great lineages of rulers. From their mother's side, they were descendants of Genghis Khan.
Okay, from their mother's side, they were descendants of Genghis Khan. That is also written in your book on page number 46. Just see carefully.
And from their father's side, they were successors of Timur Lang.
Okay.
However, Mughals did not like to be called Mongols, as they were proud of their triumvirate ancestry, Babur.
So, you have seen, no, from her mother's sides and from their father's sides, they were like they had different castes, but because they wanted to go with their ancestral caste, जो उनको अपने दादा से like होता है ना, ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स से मिला हुआ होता है, so they love and they like to add that caste into their names, the surnames. So now in this we are going to discuss about the Babur. So you just read your para, who were the Mughals, you will get whatever we have seen in this video. And further, Mughal military campaign. So see carefully about Babur first.
Babur inherited the small Central Asian kingdom of Farghana at the young age of 11 years. Soon he was driven out by an Uzbek tribe of the region. His attempts for the conquest of Samarkand had failed. He soon conquered Kabul in 1504 CE. Babur was fascinated with India's wealth. When Daulat Khan Lodi invited him to India, he did not want to miss the opportunity.
So बाबर ही वॉज वेरी मच फैसिनेटेड विद द वेल्थ ऑफ इंडिया. जब वो इंडिया की वेल्थ देखता था एंड जो देखता था कि लाइक इंडिया इज सो ब्यूटीफुल, सो फ्रॉम द चाइल्डहुड ओनली ही वांटेड टू कम टू इंडिया. सो व्हेन द लोदीज दे जस्ट कॉल देम अब, दे इन्वाइटेड देम टू इंडिया. सो वो क्या करना चाहता था, वो बाबर जो था वो चांस मिस नहीं करना चाहता था. एंड ही केम इन टू एज ऑफ 11 ओनली टू इंडिया. एंड देन फर्दर व्हाट हैपेंड in 1526 he defeated the Sultan of Delhi. Can you imagine, in the age of 11 only he defeated king of Delhi Sultan. He was Ibrahim Lodi. Fine. So further at the Panipat and captured Delhi and Agra. Then he ruled over the Panipat and Agra, and like this he just spread over the subcontinent.
Of conquering India, he then invaded India and defeated Ibrahim Lodi at the Battle of Panipat in 1526 CE. After this, Babur occupied Delhi and made Agra his capital.
Okay.
This battle marked the beginning of Mughal Empire. Babur defeated the combined forces of Rana Sanga of Mewar.
So this was how he started his kingdom and how he growth his kingdom further. So it is written on your page number 47 here that let me show you in the book. You all have your book, so you just see. So here it is written further table 1 charts and 2 table further charts. So turn to your page number 48. Here from we are going to start the Mughal emperors. So see first here in this video it is going to explain about Babur. So firstly Babur defeated in 1526. जब उसने स्टार्ट किया था किंगडम को ग्रो करना, तो सबसे पहले उसने किसको डिफीट किया था? इब्राहिम लोदी को.
And his allies at Khanur in 1527. Later he conquered Gwalior, Dholpur and other places. He defeated the chief of Chanderi in 1528 and Afghan chiefs of Bengal and Bihar in 1529. In a short period of 4 years, Babur acquired territories from Indus to Bihar and
Okay, he just ruled over for 4 years, and in that short period he did very well.
from Himalayas to Gwalior. But before he could strengthen his hold over his conquest, he died in 1530. Though he was buried in Agra, his remains were later moved to Kabul as per his will. Babur was the most illustrious man of his age. He was educated in Persian and Arabic and wrote his autobiography, Baburnama.
Okay, so he was his study was in the Persian language, and he has written his Baburnama. That was the Emperor Babur only. Okay.
In Turkish, his mother tongue, we learn about the Mughals from a number of books written during this period. We have Jahangir's biography, Jahangirnama, written by his sister Gulbadan Begum. Many court historians like Abul Fazl, travelers like Frenchman Bernier, and Christian missionaries like Father Rodolphe have left behind very valuable accounts. Humayun, after the death of Babur.
So in this part we have discussed about Babur. Now we are going to discuss further about Humayun. He was the son of Babur. As I told you, Bhajsa. That is why we are going to relate one on one. Okay, Bhajsa से आपको क्या होगा? You will be easily able to learn all the names in a series. Okay. So now we are going to discuss about Humayun, son of Babur.
His son Humayun succeeded him and inherited a large empire. Humayun had a very turbulent life as a ruler. Initially, he struggled to maintain his kingdom as he fought with Sher Shah Suri of Bihar and Bahadur Shah of Gujarat. After he was defeated by Sher Shah at Chausa and Kannauj, He became a king without kingdom.
Okay, so he was defeated by these both kings. Fine, and after that, what happens? After the death of Babur, when he was defeated by these kings, sorry, so he was king without any kingdom. He had nothing into his hands. Okay, so now he was moving towards like in the Rajasthan, in the Kabul, to search some place to rule over.
In Sindh, Rajasthan, and Persia, looking for shelter and help. He made preparations to recover the lost territories in India by making Kabul his base. When he was at Amarkot in Sindh, his wife gave birth to their son Akbar. In 1555, he reoccupied Delhi and re-established his empire in India.
Okay, then again before uh, in 1555 again he just occupied the kingdom. Okay, and when his son was born, Akbar, and then Akbar ruled over further from 1556 to 1605, and that is divided into three parts. When the Akbar ruled over, to whom he had defeated, and what were the works he did, Akbar. Okay.
Fortunately, he did not live long after this. He died in 1556 due to an accidental fall from the stairs of his library building in Purana.
So this was an accidental death. He fallen down from the stairs of his library. And now we are going to discuss about Akbar. After the death of Humayun, who ruled over the empire, definitely his son Akbar, and he ruled over from 1556 to 1605, and that is divided into three categories, three parts. First is 1556 to 1570. So in that, what he did is, you just see in your book, Akbar became independent of the regent Baram Khan and other members of his domestic staff. So he was working with the staff, right, and he did each and everything to take the revenge, right, from the other kings. That is why that is divided into three basic categories. 1556, what he did, he just defeated that Malwa and Gondwana, and further revolt of his half brother Mirza Khan. Okay, that is the Mirza Hakim, and the Uzbeks, with the help of which the Babur came to India. He just ruled over them as well. Okay, then further Chittor was also seized, and in 1569 then the Ranthambore. So these were the different kingdoms on which he ruled over further. Then 1570 to 1585, the military campaigns in Gujarat were followed by campaigns in the east in Bihar, because as he was giving the instructions to the domestic staff and the further to the military staff, definitely they have to do under their king. So in the Bengal and Orissa, they were complicated by 1577 to 1508, and इन सपोर्ट ऑफ मिर्ज़ा खान, जो उसका हाफ ब्रदर था अकबर का, उन्होंने जो वो कंट्रीज थी बिहार की, उन्होंने उसको सपोर्ट किया. फाइन. एंड देन द 1585 to 1605, that was the expansion of the Akbar's empire as they were going down, है ना, they were getting expansion. And further, after the death of Akbar, he was dead in 1605, and after 1605, Akbar's future son, that is Salim or Jahangir, he further ruled over. So now see about the Jahangir.
Jahangir. In 1605, Akbar was succeeded by his son Salim, who took the name of Jahangir upon his accession to the throne. He was liberal in his outlook, like his father. He was deeply interested in the welfare of his subject. He valued justice highly, so much so that he had hung a chain of bells outside the palace.
As Akbar believed in the justice, in the same sense Jahangir, his son, also believes in the justice, कि सबको proper justice मिलना चाहिए. Though he hanged the chains outside of his like fort, कि जिसको भी कोई problem है, they can just drag the chain and then there will be a proper hearing, कि उनकी सुनवाई होगी, है ना. The common people also can come, and for justice they can just drag the chains.
Those who had any grievance could tug the ropes of the chain and would receive a hearing from the king. His son, Khusro, rebelled against him and was defeated at Lahore. Mewar had eluded Akbar, but his Rajput policies led him to subjugate Mewar. Meanwhile, Portuguese had also come to India. Jahangir had cordial relations with them, and they were given trade concessions. He subdued.
Okay, as he was improving his relations further with the other kings and kingdoms, right? And the Portuguese, you have seen, Portuguese also came to India and they had a good relations with Jahangir further.
The Afghans of Bengal, but his campaign against the Deccan states was not successful. He ended the long-standing conflict between Mewar and Mughals. His son, Prince Khurram, also known as Shah Jahan, captured the fort of Kangra, but Jahangir lost Kandhar to Persians. Tuzuk-e-Jahangiri, the autobiography of Jahangir, gives information about Jahangir and
During that time, most of these Mughal emperors, they had their own like biographies or autobiographies. Okay, as we had discussed about Akbar Nama, further in the chapter also we are going to discuss about the same. And Jahangir also, he had Tuzuk-e-Jahangir, that was the autobiography. Okay, so with the help of these books we can get each and every information related to these emperors. Okay, so further, after the death of Jahangir, who ruled over? Shah Jahan. Okay, just
his
see.
interests. It shows that he was a man of justice. He gives 12 rules of conduct to be observed by all the people. Jahangir married Noor Jahan, who was extremely beautiful and talented. Persian art and culture flourished under her influence. She and her family.
As it is written in the books that Jahangir, he was very fond of drinking, है ना, of taking wine and all those things. So Jahangir's wife, she was very much beautiful and also very much talented. As half of the decisions for the court and for the kingdoms, she used to take, right, in his absence also and in his presence also. Some of the decisions only she had to take because she was quite intelligent and talented. Okay, so see.
Family members had important administrative posts. Jahangir often took her advice on personal and administrative matters. Some historians believe that Jahangir was very fond of drinking, and she took most of the decisions in the court, and she became a co-regent. However, her rise to power divided the court into different groups, one in her favor and the other against her. This led to conflict and rivalry among the nobles, which damaged Mughal Empire. Jahangir.
So what happened during that time? क्या होता था कि when Jahangir's wife, she was taking some of the decision. Half of the public, they were in favor कि हाँ, okay, she's giving good decision, but half of the public, the people who were narrow by the mind, right? So they were not much capable to take their decisions, and उससे क्या होता, जो Mughal Empire get defeated and damaged.
His failing health led to an open struggle for power between Noor Jahan and her own son Shah Jahan. A number of nobles revolted against Noor Jahan. Jahangir died in 1627 CE and was buried at Lahore. Shah Jahan, after a brief struggle.
Okay, till here we have studied about Jahangir. Now, after the death of Jahangir, Shah Jahan ruled over the empire. Now see about Shah Jahan carefully.
For power, Shah Jahan ascended the throne at Agra in 1628. He suppressed many rebellions, but he failed to recover Kandhar from Persians. He was able to put down the revolt of Bundela Rajputs. He got Bijapur and Golconda in the Deccan, but
So these were the kingdoms which he was getting. They were defeating and getting the kingdoms further. Fine.
they were not annexed and paid annual tributes. He also sent his armies to Balkh and Badakhshan in Central Asia. Shah Jahan also led a campaign against Portuguese and caused heavy losses to them. Abdul Hamid Lahori wrote Badshahnama, which gives us valuable information about Shah Jahan's reign. The paintings that
See, now it is written one more that autobiography, right? So Shah Jahanama. So with this book we can get every information related to Shah Jahan.
as they capture, court life, wedding, and other activities. Inayat Khan's Shah Jahanama is another valuable work of this period. Missionaries, foreign travelers, and merchants who visited India during this period have left accounts of Shah Jahan and Aurangzeb. The two things for which Shah Jahan is known to the world over are the famous Taj Mahal and the Peacock Throne.
You have seen Taj Mahal, so this is the main remembrance of Shah Jahan. Okay.
Taj Mahal is regarded as one of the seven wonders of the world. It
Right.
was built with white marble at Agra in the memory of his wife Mumtaz Mahal. The Peacock Throne was made of gold and was studded with precious stones and was placed at Diwan-e-Khas at the Red Fort at Delhi. It was built by Shah Jahan when he moved his capital to Delhi from Agra after the death of Mumtaz Mahal. Nadir Shah, the Persian invader, carried the throne away in 1739. On his return to Delhi, he built Shah Jahanabad, which is now a part of Delhi. Shah Jahan also built Moti Masjid in Agra and Jama Masjid.
You can search all these buildings on the net. Okay, so you can find that these were the different buildings made by Mughal emperors, basically we can say, and probably by Shah Jahan. He was very much fond of these monuments and buildings. That is why some of the buildings were made up of red stones and sandstones, and some of the buildings were made up of white marble.
In Delhi, his buildings show the use of arches, domes, and minarets. During this period, a lot of marble was used instead of sandstone. In the Mughal dynasty, there was no clear law of succession. Even before Shah Jahan died, a fight broke out between his four sons, namely Dara, Shuja, Murad, and Aurangzeb.
In the further we will be going to discuss about the succession, that what was the Mughal succession. अब देखो बेटा, that is on the tradition of Mughal succession, that is on the page number 50. So Mughal succession क्या होता है, I'll let you know in the further page. Firstly, in this video we are going to see about Aurangzeb as well.
Succession of war, Aurangzeb emerged victorious after defeating his brothers and making his father a
Sorry.
at Agra fort. In 1657, Shah Jahan fell ill and died. Aurangzeb
So as we have discussed about Shah Jahan, देखो पहले क्या होता था, we will discuss in the ट्रेडिशन ऑफ सक्सेशन. ट्रेडिशन ऑफ सक्सेशन क्या होता है कि फादर की डेथ के बाद जो पूरा का पूरा लाइक पोजेशन है वो किसको मिल जाए, बड़े वाले सन को, ऐसा होता है. सो it is different in this chapter about the Mughal emperors. That was the different. They believed in the similar distribution of the possession. Okay, so first of all see about the Aurangzeb, then I'm going to clear you this.
the throne by defeating his brothers and imprisoning his father. He faced many difficulties in his reign of 50 years. His Deccan policy forced him to impose taxes on non-Muslims in order to mitigate his economic constraints. This tax was known as jizya. During his long reign, his empire reached the largest size. It stretched from Kashmir in the north to Jinji in the south, and
So that is why one by one all the Mughal emperors, they just improved and they spread over all the Indian subcontinent. You can see how much area they have invaded, right?
from Hindu Kush in the west to Chittagong in the east. Mir Jumla, the governor of Bengal, annexed Cooch Bihar and subdued the Ahoms of Assam. However, this was for a short period
Sorry.
of time, and these places were lost to Mughals. Later, Shaista Khan, the next governor, captured Chittagong, which was a center of Portuguese commercial activities. Chittagong was named Islamabad by the orders of the emperor. When Bijapur and Golconda fell beneath Aurangzeb's might, rebellious Hindus flocked to join Shivaji and his Maratha confederacy. Using guerrilla mode of warfare, Shivaji took control of 3 Bijapuri forts, formerly controlled by his father. With these victories, Shivaji assumed leadership of many independent Maratha clans. Marathas, under the leadership of Shivaji, captured forts belonging to both Mughals and Bijapur. Shivaji successfully drove the Mughal armies out of Deccan and was crowned as Chhatrapati or King of the Maratha Confederacy.
You have
in
heard about
1670.
Shivaji, na?
While Aurangzeb continued to send troops against him, Shivaji expanded Maratha control throughout the Deccan until his death in 1680. Aurangzeb continued to wage wars against the Marathas for a long time.
Interesting story it is, na? So Aurangzeb used to send his troops to fight and to have wars with the Maratha. But the Chhatrapati Shivaji, you might have heard about Chhatrapati Shivaji. He was also very much intelligent and very much powerful. So against them, the wars that was continued.
After his death, new leadership arose in Marathas, who soon became unified under the rule of Peshwa. Aurangzeb's Rajput policy was just the reversal of Akbar's Rajput policy. Akbar tried to befriend them through alliances, marriages, and by giving them high posts in administration. But Aurangzeb had constant conflicts with Rajput.
Right, as we have seen in the starting that Akbar and the Babur, they had a very good relations with the Rajputs, but vice versa, Aurangzeb, he was spoiling and his relations with the Rajput kingdoms, and instead of Aurangzeb, Akbar and Babur, they were in favor to give the good reputation and position to Rajput kings. Fine, and same the vice versa, opposite to that, Aurangzeb, he was just snatching their powers of the Rajputs. Okay, so now we are going to discuss further about Mughal tradition of succession. See carefully.